on this episode of the Costello Coaching Podcast with Tommy Costello.
Alex Bachman comes from Westlake, California, grew up with a great family, and he found a way to go out and achieve his dream, even though he had so many hurdles that most people wouldn't even know how to attack.
For some reason, whether it was instilled in me by God, I always had a passion of doing the things no one else wanted to do and taking the road that no one else wanted to travel.
Yeah, it's fun.
Because I realized from a young age that if 90% of people fail at their passion, whatever the number is, 90, 95, I mean, it's a huge majority.
Yeah, they don't follow it.
Then you talk about patterns, whatever their patterns are, I'm doing something completely different.
Yeah.
Because most likely, if everyone's capable of doing it, then if you want to be like the 90%, you're going to do what the 90% does. I wanted to be like the 10%, the 5%.
Yeah.
Do what no one else is willing to do to get to a point where no one else is able to reach.
Yep.
So if I knew off the bat, if everyone's betting against me and I have a 1 out of 1% chance of ever making it to the NFL, I can't be living my life like everybody else. In my high school, we ended up having other guys because we had a prominent program, but most high schools don't have anyone that goes to the NFL. So I can't be behaving like anybody else. So if everybody was doing it, I wasn't interested because it meant it was easy.
So you're in your third cycle of this pattern.
Yeah, we talk about patterns. It's a continuous cycle of no opportunities, preparing for an opportunity that may never come. And it's like, by the grace of God, continue to come, at least at some point down the road.
Yeah. So this pattern you're in right now is you've spent 4 years in the league. And I'll just break it down like from my perspective. And if I'm inaccurate in any way, you cut me off and tell me. But you find a way to be relevant in the NFL enough to be around for 4 years. Okay. You do everything you can in every single training camp. And you make the practice squad. You're on and off of active rosters throughout those years. And you show up. And the more years you get at that profession, I feel like the better of an opportunity you have to get better. Like you have more years of practice at your craft.
More years of experience.
So you're going to be better. And I remember reading a Tom Brady quote, and he was like, look, I know I'm old and I've been in this league for a long time, and I could be some of these guys' dads now. But my thing is like, if my body is able to stay within these guys, my experience is double these guys. So that is worth 4 steps. So my point is, you've become the best player you've ever been right now. You are the best player you've ever been right now.
Ever. Yeah.
Okay. You go in and have one of the best preseasons that any NFL receiver has.
Ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Statistically speaking, now we have some stats. You know what I mean? We have some data. And an organization looks at you and they appreciate what you're able to do, but their appreciation did not equal an opportunity because you're in a professional setting where we're talking about money, and money might be tied up in other people. And because you were able to perform did not equal your opportunity once again, because there's money behind other people. Now, if we're just even having like a conversation where we're coaching this and we're kind of looking at it like, okay, maybe I haven't been aware that these are my patterns and this is the way I've overcome it. And you've been in and out of 30 different cities or whatever, like 20 different cities in the past 40 days or something crazy?
Yeah, 19 flights, 20 beds in about 50 days.
Okay, so we're looking at weeks 1 through 10 in the NFL season right now, and the Giants look at you and say, hey, back in training camp, they look at you, they say, Bach, awesome preseason, love everything you did, you're everything it means to be a New York Giant, great job, we're going to put you on the practice squad. Mm-hmm. And you looked at them, and with all due respect, I appreciate the opportunity, but I'm going to pass on that. Mm-hmm. Because, and it's something that I talk about, and I shared your story with a group of football players, and I said that, you don't partake in what's called passive compliance. Passive compliance is where you just kind of do as you're told, and you're a lemming. You just kind of follow the process. But you're aware enough to know your own worth, know your own value. And you said, you know what? I'm not going to bang my head for the practice squad again this season. I'm going to seek an opportunity where people value me. You once again put yourself in a situation where you have an absurd amount of adversity against you. but your patterns show that this has never stopped you.
Mm-mm.
It's held you up. There was many long days probably at Oaks Christian where you're like, is football even can I even do this? These guys won't give me a chance. I'm playing safety, but I know I'm a receiver. There's many days, like I know when you look back at it, it doesn't feel like that. There's plenty of days where you're like, man, is this going to happen?
Tears.
Yeah. And the past 10 weeks probably feel like 10 years in wondering, because you're like, I'm in a different city every day. I'm at this tryout. They love me, but they don't have a spot for me. I go to the next tryout, same old story. And so now you're sitting here and you're like, okay, now where is this pattern going to crack? And like, how am I going to land this opportunity? So now you're jobless, but you don't look at it as this is happening to me. This is happening for you, because you're getting to go see people you love. You're getting to travel the country. You're getting to do all these things, and you're keeping yourself in a positive mindset, which is going to be the biggest factor in which positivity is going to continue to come your way. Now, we don't know how this is going to crack for you, and we don't even know how to stay ready. Like, you don't know how to stay ready. Like, we've talked about training programs and how do I keep my body? Well, we just continue to work, and we control what we can control. But when the right person values you, the opportunity will arise, and you're going to seize the moment. The hardest part about that is not knowing where it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like going back to the mountain bike ride. It's a little bit easier to climb the mountain when you know where the end is. It's really hard to climb it if it's like, do I have another mile? Do I have 2 miles? Do I have 3 miles? And that's where you're at. And the hardest part about this stuff sometimes is staying in it. And you've kept yourself in it. You're bright. You understand a lot of concepts about life. You understand business. You understand finance. Did really well in school. It would be very easy for you to exit what you're doing.
Yep.
Be easy thing to do. Now, I want you to touch on this because this is something that is hard for me, but I continue. This is my fight, like my inner battle is always, how do I stay with my passion? Because people say like, oh, follow your passion, follow your passion, follow your passion. But what people don't know is to really follow your passion, you're going to have an absurd amount of focus, because if you want to follow your passion, it's going to come with challenges that are unplanned. So when you're following your passion, you have to be really disciplined to what you're doing. It's not the opposite effect. It's not like, oh, I'm following my passion, it's all positive. It's like you have to be relentless towards your opportunity, because that is what I want to do. I'm determined that that's what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So explain how following your passion actually means that you're going to need more discipline, you're going to need more work ethic, you're going to need more drive, you're going to need more focus than anybody else. That's why I believe 99% of people don't follow their passion. And they go to bed watching Netflix and they're just like, man, I wish I could follow my passion like that person. But what they don't understand is that following your passion requires so much more work ethic. It requires so much more work to follow your passion than not.
It's a different spirit.
I know you have that inner battle sometimes where it's like, bro, I know I could be doing this, but why am I doing this? And then you're like, no, it's because it's what I love. And then you go about it and do it. What keeps you on your passion?
People have asked me this before, like, what motivates you?
Yeah.
And you talk about that, going back to my high school experience, go back to my college experience, and now I'm where I'm at right now. Without that high school and college experience, it's over, because right now it would have broken me. Like,
yeah,
for sure. You ask, like, why are you having to go through things in a certain way that there's no clarity? Like, you know, I talk to God all the time. I'm like, God, why are you having to put me through this?
Mm-hmm.
I go back to those high school days, those tears where I wasn't getting instant gratification. I wasn't being rewarded for my work and attitude, right? It came way later. That prepared me for this moment right now, right? A college experience, right? Where I'm working every day's game day, coming in, doing my job on a consistent basis, not being rewarded when opportunity comes, seize it, right?
Yeah.
So without those past experiences, this moment would have broken me. It's like it continues to build,
mm-hmm.
right? God's just continually preparing you for those moments. You talked about a word of focus. Continue to focus when you don't know when an opportunity is going to come. I'll level you up one with another F word. It's faith.
Mm.
Having not just faith in God, but also faith in yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's been built from my previous experiences of overcoming other obstacles.
Yeah.
So my goal has always been to impact, inspire, right? How am I going to be able to look myself in the mirror at night if I give up on it? You talk about the things that motivate me. Huge thing most people get motivated by is the naysayers, right?
Yeah.
I've been counted out so many times, you can't even count right, like Drake would say. That's one thing that motivates me. My family motivates the crap out of me because there's a lot of people, my family, Chris Thomas we go back to, all these different people that have believed in me. I got to prove those people right. Right? Those people sacrifice their time and energy for me. What am I going to do with it? I'll be selling all those people short if I don't come to work every single day. My future wife, my future kids, I'm selling everybody short if I don't show up to work and do what I say I'm going to do. And that's where my confidence comes from, is actually doing what I say I'm going to do. If you continue to tell yourself you're going to do something and you can't even do it, how are you going to continue to be confident when that moment comes that you're going to, shine brightest? So, like I said, I try and take every moment, and I live in a 24-hour period, and I work relentlessly, and I enjoy the process of working. I enjoy the process and the struggle.
Me too.
You know what I'm saying? And
I love working.
I don't know where this came from either, but for some reason, whether it was instilled in me by God, I always had a passion of doing the things no one else wanted to do and taking the road that no one else wanted to travel.
Yeah, it's fun.
Because I realized from a young age that if 90% of people fail at their passion, whatever the number is, 90, 95, I mean, it's a huge majority.
Yeah, they don't follow it.
Then you talk about patterns, whatever their patterns are, I'm doing something completely different.
Yeah.
Because most likely, if everyone's capable of doing it, then if you want to be like the 90%, you're going to do what the 90% does. I wanted to be like the 10%, the 5%, right?
Yeah.
Do what no one else is willing to do to get to a point where no one else is able to reach.
Yep.
So if I knew off the bat, if everyone's betting against me and I have a 1 out of 1% chance of ever making it to the NFL, I can't be living my life like everybody else.
Yeah.
Because no one else in my high school, or, you know what I'm saying? We ended up having other guys because we had a prominent program, but most high schools don't have anyone that goes to the NFL. So I can't be behaving like anybody else. So if everybody was doing it, I wasn't interested because it meant it was easy.
Yeah.
It required no talent. That's why I had no interest in like going out in college or high school. I would rather go to the track. I would run.
You built that pattern too.
Yep. And I would just do things. I was embracing the struggle. I wanted to become Jason Garrett, or one of my coaches when I was in New York, talks about thriving in discomfort. Living in discomfort and being so used to discomfort that when an opportunity comes that you're not comfortable with, who's comfortable performing in front of 80,000 people, millions,
No
right? It's not a naturally comfortable situation. Like football is completely uncomfortable. You have pads, you got a helmet on, right? Turf burns, sweat, blood,
you're getting
whacked. I mean, sweat's in your eye. You're getting hit all across all different areas. It's not a comfortable sport, but like, I've been so accustomed to putting myself in uncomfortable situations. That's why sometimes I put myself in scenarios where I'm able to live out of a suitcase for 2 months, going couch hopping, this and that. It's not the most ideal lifestyle, but I'm so used to this point, it doesn't faze me. I know I can take every circumstance and make something out of it.
Yeah, it's like when you get your routine, that's like cakewalk. You're able to adapt, you're able to change. How important has having mentors and people that you can feel like you work with rather than they tell you what to do had a impact on your ability to continue to pursue? Because the pursuit is the impressive part. That's the fun part.
Yeah.
Yes, it's impressive. You know, NFL receiver, right?
Yeah.
It's very impressive. But it's like when to most, like when any Joe Schmo looks at it, they think that, yeah, that's really impressive. But you've put yourself in a category where your peers are, what's impressive to you guys is, did he have 115 yards and 10 catches? That's impressive to you because that's the level in which you're at. That's the level in which you work. Being in the NFL isn't good enough. Being on the practice squad isn't good enough. It's about being the guy on that team and being one of the best in the league.
Or living up to your full potential.
So how have mentors aided you in your pursuit?
Kobe Bryant, he came and spoke to us when I was doing my combine training.
Oh, wow.
And we asked him what he thinks. Talk about the Mamba mentality. Everybody has their own definition of Mamba mentality. What's Kobe Bryant's definition of a Mamba mentality? And it's constant curiosity. Is what the word
was his Mamba mentality.
Mamba mentality is constant curiosity.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about squeezing the juice out of something?
Yeah.
Right? Squeeze the the juice out of every person I come in contact. I want to know what makes you tick. The successful people. That's why I read biographies on Kobe Bryant. I read Tiger Woods, like the people that have hit the pinnacle that no one else has reached, right? Because they're constantly curious. They're sucking the juice out of every opportunity that they get. So that's why I'm constantly, I probably FaceTime more people. I call you all the time. I call Les Spellman all the time. I just try and surround myself with people that are super ambitious and want to reach the top, right?
Yep.
And figure out how they tick, what helps them on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And I take little bits and pieces from every single person I come in contact with because I'm constantly seeking advice in situations because I know I haven't reached my full potential. So like constantly grabbing and finding other ways I can continually improve myself because I'm created completely different than you. We're not created the same way. There's things that I'm good at that you're not. There's things that you're good at that I'm not. But act of continuous improvement, Kaizen is a word that we use in the NFL.
Yeah.
Right? The act of continuous improvement.
Yeah.
So I wake up every day and ask myself, what can I work on today?
Yep.
What can I improve? What am I not good at? And so when I'm asking other people like yourself and asking you questions, you bring up something that I'm not good at that I need to improve on, and I work on that for that 24 hours.
So what I'm getting out of this is you gravitate towards people that are on their own pursuit.
Yes.
Their relentless pursuit to their greatness. And you're trying to squeeze the juice out of whatever they're doing and see if that can help you. And touch on your faith a little bit. I remember I was sitting in my car. I had just parked my car. And you called me, I don't know if it was last season. And you're like, bro, I don't know if this is for me. You were having one of those moments, which anybody going down their journey is going to have those moments.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, I'm hurt. I'm not feeling good. I'm mentally hurt. I'm emotionally hurt. I'm physically hurt. I got to get up. I got to go. I got to take a painkiller. I got to go to practice. I'm so close, but I'm so far. When is this going to break? Who's going to believe in me? Who's going to help me? And I remember just sitting there and like, bro, I was like, I was like crying for you. I was just like so in it with you. I so knew, like, I was so in it for you. My heart was so in it. It wasn't like my mental brain. It was like my heart brain was listening to you. And it just came to me, and it was just the serenity prayer. And if you could say the serenity prayer right now, I think that would be really special because go ahead.
Yeah, God grant me the serenity over things that are out of my control. Give me the courage to do the things that are in my control, and give me the wisdom to know the difference. And I say that prayer every time I step on the field. It's like those three things, like it's a quick prayer. Give me peace. Give me peace right now because there's so many things in football. Like people ask me why I like golf. Things are way more in my control. I can't blame anyone else on my scorecard but me at the end of the day, right? But football has so many outside factors that are out of my control. And I have to continue to remind myself, we talk about control, things you control. When I do everything you need to do to make a team and they still say no, understanding that I'm still at peace with myself because I gave everything I had to. I left everything I possibly could out on the field and I made the most out of every opportunity that was given to me. So grant me the peace and serenity over those things because at the end of the day, there's only so much I have control over, right? Now give me courage because there are some things that are in my control. Give me the courage to run down on this kickoff because I'm given this one opportunity. I'm going to go run through a dude's face. I'm going to go make a tackle. I'm going to make this catch because I know that I prepared for this moment. I'm going to go into coach's office and ask him why I'm not playing because I have that courage and I can control that situation. Create our own opportunities. Sometimes we have to create our own momentum like you talk about. Do I have the courage to go in and create the opportunity for myself and maybe start a conversation that hasn't been put on the table yet? Start a new opportunity for myself maybe. That's why like in this certain stage of life, I'm reaching out to every coach, every scout, every person trying to find opportunities for myself to get back to where I want to be, right? In reality, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. But if a new opportunity presents itself, am I ready? Or sometimes you have to create that opportunity and then have the wisdom to know the difference. So that practice squad offer was put on the table. What do I control? Certain things. And so for some people, that's not the wise decision. Money's on the table. Why wouldn't you take the money? But then I had to freaking dig deep. I had to dig deeper into where I came from, my background, how I was raised, and understanding, right? I had other calls, other people out there that were supposed to be interested. Nothing was guaranteed. And then I have to look back now and be like, all right, what did I learn from that experience? But I decided that the wise decision was to decline that offer in that current moment. And I'm going to live by that, right? Like the no regret mentality, because I felt like it's not like I felt, actually, I know that I put something out there that was high value, and that energy wasn't received and reciprocated.
Mm-hmm.
But like I say that prayer over and over again, because I mean, for me, it encompasses everything that I've been built on, because we get so caught up in things that are out of control. And then we let the things that are out of our control hurt our confidence and hurt our courage. What do we talk about when you're doing things right, the devil will come for you. Mm. So what do you think happened after I made that decision?
Temptations.
What do you think happened? Yeah, right after I made my decision, devil was coming for me, right? Mm-hmm. Trying to put doubt in my mind. You didn't make the right decision. Like, how stupid are you, right? Everybody on Twitter finding out, like, making judgments. They don't know my situation. They don't know what I've been through the last 3 years. They don't know the conversations I had, right? They just see things from the outside perspective. They don't know the internal battles I've had, the uphill battles that I've continued to try and overcome, right? So they don't know those situations. So that's the devil's coming in and trying to like tell me like you made the wrong decision, right? So, but like I said, I might come across in this podcast that I never had doubts in it. I have continuous doubts. It's a consistent spiritual warfare going on, right? Dark nights where I can't sleep. I got to run, go to the track, do something to like free myself, talk to God, whatever it is. That's why people ask why I'm traveling so much. I need continuous change of scenery, because if I sit in a room too long, I know myself, right? I'm going to let negative thoughts creep into my head. And I'm trying to keep positive thoughts, consistently positive self-talk, surround myself with positive people. Come to California and choose to have a grateful attitude every single day is what I've been learning these last couple of weeks. Is like I said earlier, what are the 3 things I'm grateful for off the bat, right? Because there's a lot of things I could point out that are going wrong with my life. I choose to point out the things that are going great in my life. That's something I'm learning right now. That's a big lesson I've been learning these last couple of months. Like I said, it's easy for people to look back and be like, wow, you left all that opportunity on the table. Well, I think for whatever reason, when I've talked to you about it, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right now.
You totally
are.
And
in these last couple of weeks, based on what has happened, and I'm not going to get into all of it, but based on what has happened since that offer was put on the table and I've declined, it has showed me clarity that I actually did make the right decision.
Yeah.
Because it has shown where I'm wanted and how bad they wanted me.
Yeah.
You know, and continues to be a topic of conversation with my parent and agent. And like I said, that's why I've been reaching out, because I'm grateful to have a circle that I have, but I'm continually asking people for advice in their situation, what they think. And I never take anyone's opinion and care about anyone's opinion from anybody that I want to take actual advice from.
Yeah.
You know, so that has to be something I continue to remind myself as well.
There's something I coach my athletes on. I call it owning your game. It's a concept I love, own your game. And what I've come to understand while I kind of flipped from the athlete to more of the coach was we tend to just dismiss and not acknowledge when things are done right in the smallest of moments. Okay, so when you run a clean route and the ball doesn't even go to you, and it's in practice, and maybe it's in routes on air, and you run a clean route, and that's all you did on that play. Ball gets thrown to the other side of the field, boom, boom, boom. Are we acknowledging that you ran a clean route? Most of the time, there's no acknowledgement of that.
Depends on the coach, really, to be honest.
Yeah, so it depends on what people care about. But are you acknowledging the route you ran?
Every time.
You are. You acknowledge what you're doing?
Every time, because...
So do you say to yourself, do you have a mantra where you say to yourself, like, I love that route I just ran?
Yes.
Okay.
Or if I critique it and see someone else do something, I'm like, oh, okay, I can add this to it.
Okay, so that's where I'm going with this is it's a lot easier for us to acknowledge something that didn't go right. It's hard for us as competitors to acknowledge what we did well. So when I go back to owning your game, my thought process is we should acknowledge rather than affirm. So what happens is a lot of times with athletes is something happens, and if it's great, they affirm it. You're the best. You get put on a pedestal. Excellent, excellent, excellent. But then when things don't go well, you're affirming that as well. You're dwelling on how many things went wrong. You're dwelling on what you need to do better, and you're beating yourself up for it. My thing is, like, how you stay moment to moment, and the greatest players and the greatest athletes and the highest of performance are moment to moment people. You're a moment to moment person. That's why you're a day by day. You don't know what you're doing tomorrow, but you're a moment to moment person.
Mm-hmm.
Is you got to acknowledge both sides of what you're doing. So you got to acknowledge what you did well, and you got to acknowledge what you need to improve. And you need to take a second to acknowledge it, and then you move on to what's next. And
Constant
you own
curiosity.
Yes, constant curiosity. You own both sides of it. But if you neglect the things that you're doing well, and you're affirming the things that didn't go well, right? You're enhancing what didn't go well, then you're creating a stack that's not true. So you're stacking these negative moments, or you're out of context with what's really going well. You're not in the clear perspective on what's going on. So what I do with my athletes is every single rep counts. So on a life perspective, look, you got up, you hydrated properly, you got a good workout in. You got to acknowledge that.
For sure.
It's good.
Yeah.
Like, hey.
That's where you get your confidence from.
Exactly. Confidence is just purely, are we executing on the promises that we make to ourselves?
Absolutely.
Like, I am a hard worker. Okay, well, am I acknowledging the fact that, yes, every single day, like, I'll get up at 5 a.m., I'll finish working around 9.
How is a coach going to believe that you are who you say you are when you don't even believe that you are who you say you are?
Totally.
Right?
So you got to own both sides of what you're doing. And I think that's what you've done a great job of. And even in our conversation, you have a real clear perspective on what went well, what didn't go well, and how you were able to move on, and how you're able to get the result that you were desiring. So now, if you're 26-year-old Alex right now, and you are 26-year-old Alex, in 2 to 3 sentences, max, what are you telling 18-year-old Alex? You only get to talk to him for 2 sentences. So be clear on what you want to say to him. But what does 26-year-old Alex tell 18-year-old Alex?
Adversity is going to come, and you're ready for it. Be relentless, and don't let anything stop you. Like, pretty much is what I would tell myself.
Okay. Now, what does 30-year-old Alex tell 26-year-old Alex?
I guess I'll figure that out the next 4 years. I talk about continuous curiosity. I'm learning stuff every single day. And when life comes at you, like, it's the most successful people that are able to actually, like, grab onto things and learn from it, right? That's one thing we talk about. Being coachable is one of the things that I've been blessed with, because I don't make the same mistake twice.
Yeah. But go back for a second.
Yeah.
What you said, 26-year-old Alex said to 18-year-old Alex, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Adversity is coming.
Yeah.
Be relentless.
Probably going to say the same thing when I'm 30.
Your patterns. So I think out of all the things that, like, we talk about right now and that we've talked about is, dude, you are relentless. That is your identity. You are relentless. Everything has been...
Resilient and relentless are the 2 words I continue to use.
100%. So every single day, that is what you're doing. But we have to take a conscious effort to stay towards that.
And that's why I think it's one of those things where I talked about earlier, and you talk about that phone call that we had, right? Where it's like, I'm not sure if this is for me. Negative self-talk. I'm not.
But it's easy.
I talk about positive self-talk. I talk to myself negatively. It's why sometimes I call people to wake me up.
Yeah, right? It's okay. Yeah.
You know? And I think for one thing, though, like I said, the consistent thing that has gotten me through and told me that, like, I'm going to get through this is because I've gotten through it every single time. I've been continuously dealt not great hands. Hands that, like, the odds are not in my favor. And I continually overcome those odds. So now, when I'm faced with this specific situation, I have a sense of confidence in myself. Sometimes I have to be reminded about that confidence. I remember I had a conversation with my friend Dante, and it was about a girl. Because I got rejected. And I remember talking to him and just being like, bro, like, you know, in my feelings about something. And he just told me to pretty much shut the heck up. Like, are you kidding me? Do you know who you are?
Yeah.
He's pretty much telling me who I am. remember this and this and this and this, like everyone else would have folded by now.
Yep.
Remember who you are, where you came from, and what you've overcome. And sometimes you need those people in your life to remind you, because we forget quickly. Sometimes we have that short-term memory. We're in our feelings. Feelings and emotions are usually from something that came from not that long ago, right?
Yep.
And sometimes we get so caught up in our emotions. And normally when we act on emotion, we make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to let that cool, and we try and think logically, right? When there's no other emotion involved. So I'm like super grateful for those type of conversations. And that's why I continually call people that I respect, because the NFL, like I said, peaks and valleys. The game of football is peaks and valleys. Momentum, consistent ups, downs, throw a pick here, throw a touch on the next play. Tyrod Taylor, one of my like favorite teammates ever had. Like, the reason I look at him is because I can't tell the difference when I look at his face if he just threw a pick or threw a touchdown, right? Because he's always play the next play, right?
Yep.
So, continuing to grow, I'm super thankful for the people that have surrounded me, and our relationship just continues to build. I'm just glad I'm here, man. Like,
yeah. The last thing I really want to know about you is what scares you?
I'm not sure. It used to be failure. I used to be scared to death of failure, right?
In what regard?
It's a great question, because
Failing at what?
society standards.
Going back to like the people that love and count on you, the people that look up to you, the people earlier in the conversation you said, I can't let my parents down. I can't let my friends down. They like see me in this way.
And I need to make this point right now. Like, to be honest, my main source of inspiration and motivation is being the guy that God created me to be.
Yeah.
Am I fulfilling my purpose? And
So that's the biggest thing that scares you.
probably, yeah.
Am I fulfilling on what I was born to be?
Yeah, exactly. So, but that also just goes back to like controlling the controllables, right? But I want to make sure I fulfill my purpose, the reason why God put me here. Because if I don't show up and work every day, right? So like, I continue to work, and I'm not being rewarded for it. For most people, they'd be like, why would I?
Yeah.
But like, we talk about one of the verses in the Bible talks about whatever you do, work out with all your heart as if working for Him. So I'm not addicted to outcomes per se, because when I perform, I'm not really performing for everyone else. But I've had to consistently remind myself about that, because failure, everyone's definition of failure is different. For a lot of people, failure is when they don't hit that outcome. And that used to be my fear, is like, what if I drop a ball? What if I, you know what I'm saying? Because not everyone else's, but great majority of society's definition, that's failing. My definition of failure is pretty much giving up.
Yeah.
Letting those negative experiences reduce my confidence to a level where I'm not going to fulfill my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, I don't think, you talk about passions, they don't fulfill their full purpose. They never reach their full potential.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm at peace in the moment of life that I am right now, because I know I haven't fulfilled my full potential, but I'm doing everything I can to fulfill my potential. And because I'm doing everything I can, I'm not failing. I'm succeeding at it.
All right, Alex. Last question for you. What scares you?
Not fulfilling my purpose. Not being the person that God made me to be, I think, is my biggest.
Yeah, it's interesting.
There.
Ed Milet, a guy who I look up to, and this is his idea, but he believes when you die, you're going to go to heaven, and you're going to look at God, and God is going to show you what He created you to be. And his biggest fear in life is looking at that person and they're a stranger. His biggest goal is to make that person his identical twin. And that resonated with me, but I think it's people cut out of our mindset that are relentless towards opportunity, are pursuing their passion, are all in, want to maximize what they were given. And they have an absurd amount of faith that they can do it.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of a curiosity of something that is actually unattainable, and this notion that we can achieve what is unattainable. But I think it's people like that inspire others, that help others, that lift others up. And what I encourage you to do is continue to be the person that is lifting others up. because the culture that you live within is a survivor mentality, and our DNA is not wired for us to go support people when we're in a survival instinct. And so I think the greatest blessing in that you've had the last 9 weeks away from the NFL is that you've kind of regained that. You've regained that I'm going to be there for people. I'm going to go see the people I love. I'm going to go share time with them. I'm not spending time. I'm investing time in these people. I love these people. I've loved these people for a long time. I'm going to go share these moments with them. And that is a completely different mindset shift. And I think when we shift our mind that way, then things start coming towards us. So what I encourage you to do is continue to go out and lift others up the way that you're looking to be lifted up.
That was literally the message at church today. Through your God-given abilities, serve others.
Keep serving them because you have so many gifts to share, and you are so powerful, and you are so strong. You're so determined. Continue to go serve others because the rewards are just going to flow your way. And the rewards can come in any form. They don't have to come in the form of what it's easy for everyone to acknowledge and understand or affirm. They will come in abundance. So thanks for being my first guest on the podcast. We'll see what this turns out to be.
Yeah, man, that was an honor. Thank you so much. Just another memory that we can add to the books.
Yeah, dude.
I'm excited for
Yeah.
what the future holds for both of us, So, and I'm just grateful, man. God puts certain people in your life for certain reasons to make certain impacts. And I try and inspire and impact every person. And we talk about my journey. Someday I'll write a book. And I hope that book reaches people and tells people just to keep going. And not let a small part of their life dictate the rest of it, right? Don't let it deter them from their path. But you've been a huge impact and inspiration. I look at what you do and I just think back to our conversation when you tore your UCL and your mindset. And it was like, for me, it takes me sometimes days, weeks to take a moment of adversity like that or a really emotional time. I don't really bounce back from that quickly. Sometimes it takes me weeks to absorb the things that have happened to me. And sometimes I make mistakes in those moments. Sometimes I'll be bitter or frustrated about something that, happened. And then it will hurt like a relationship, or I might come across the wrong way or something like that. It's kind of can be a little domino effect, right? And usually more times than not, it doesn't last very long and I'm able to cut it and move on. But one thing I've really just has inspired me and I learned from you is that you're just able to bounce back quickly with your attitude. You took your situation with no momentum, went right back to where you were training, right? What can I control? What am I good at? And you just have sprouted ever since, right? Now you're creating a podcast.
Yeah.
That's going to be freaking sick.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? So I just appreciate you. You inspire and impact me. I try and create things out of nothing a lot of times because I think about what you do and you have just a wild talent of being able to create things out of nothing. So
thank you.
Like I said, I really appreciate this opportunity, but I appreciate more. So your just friendship and your insight you continually give me. So
I love you. Thank you.
Too, man. Appreciate it. All right.
Tech, tips, teaching. Here's Tommy's Takes.
Welcome to Tommy's Takes. This is very exciting for me to do. I want to give a quick snapshot, piece of advice, or topic that I've been thinking about. The topic today is begin with the end in mind. This is the framework in which I use to coach and strategize my athletes in accordance with their goals. Beginning with the end in mind is about creating a clear vision of what you want. Think a contractor creating a blueprint. They put every single detail into that blueprint before they build the structure. With athletes, a lot of times we get overarching goals. This is what I would call a macro goal. So I want to get drafted. I want to get this contract. I want to go to college. I want to be an MVP. I want to be all conference. So we have all these macro goals. What I coach my athletes towards is something called micro goals. What are we going to do in order to achieve the overarching goal? If the phrase sounds familiar, it's because it's from a book that was sold millions and millions of times. Stephen Covey has a book series called The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, and Begin with the End in Mind is the second book. Now, I've taken the framework of that book and learned how to interplay that with athletes and creating their vision. I have a great story about my brother and another high-level athlete, Jacob Wilson, who will be drafted in the top 10 picks in this year's MLB draft.
and how I used beginning with the end in mind and creating micro goals in order to put them on trajectory to accomplish their goals. Let's start with my brother. My brother last year was called and potentially drafted and offered in the ballpark of $175,000 to $200,000. Now, this was not of his standard. He felt his value was around $650,000 to $850,000. I heard these teams call. It was on speakerphone, and they were throwing these numbers out there, and I was just cringing because I would have killed for an opportunity for $200,000 to go play the game I loved. But he had a certain type of value, and he thought he deserved that $800,000 value. So after the draft had passed and he wasn't selected, we sat down and had a heart-to-heart on, Jack, what would make you $1 million pick? So we scrubbed the draft and we figured out what were the position players that were selected with that amount of money. What we found out was those players hit about 16 to 24 home runs. That was the ballpark. So we'll call the average 20 home runs that those players hit. So what we did was we ran the tapes and we looked at his at-bats, and he had hit 8 home runs in that previous season. Even though he had hit over 300, was all-conference, was a great defender, all these things, he still was not of the value because he had 8 home runs versus the 20. I asked Jack, I said, how many balls did you hit between 10 and 15 feet short of the wall? When we found that number, it looked about 16 hits were about 10 to 15 feet short of the wall, not counting his 8 home runs. I said, Jack, if you went from 193 pounds to 210 pounds, and we took your 10-yard time testing acceleration down from a 165 to a 153, I believe the ball would travel about 10 to 15 feet further. And he was on board with it. He understood. So Jack did this. It required micro moments of making sure an extra meal was eaten every day, making sure the training revolved around acceleration. All these details were collaborated and connected. Now, he's 3 weeks into the season of his junior year. He has 6 home runs. He's on pace for probably, 36, which is absurd, which he won't be able to keep. But we definitely anticipate that he's going to hit that number and be of that $1 million value, which is so exciting for him. It's excellent that he was able to achieve that. Now, the same sort of strategy was taken with another athlete that I work with. His name's Jacob Wilson. Jacob had all the tools, had all the home runs. He's ranked as a top 10 pick. But the scouts were talking to him and they said, the only thing, Jacob, that's going to take you out of the top 10 picks is your home to first time, meaning how fast you run from the batter's box through first base. The average MLB time is around a 4.1. So as a top 10 pick, as a first overall draft pick, you're required to have impeccable numbers, high grades in every single category. Regardless that he's a great fielder, can throw the ball well, has great at-bats, all these things, his time from home to first was too slow. What I said to Jacob, I said, the difference between $1 million for you, going from the 10th pick to the 3rd round, is $1 million. Would you be willing to train this way for the next 6 months to make sure that you run a 4.1 down the line? He's like, of course. I said, so you'd work out 90 times, let's say, for $1 million, right? Or let's say 100 times. Let's say each training session was worth $10,000. Every time you worked out, you got paid 10 grand. That's the way I want you to look at it, Jacob. And he was like, wow, okay. And he was totally bought into this experience. So we gave a very particular plan of what he needed to do in his speed training. Fast forward to the season, he executes the training program. He texts me all the time. Hey, I did this. How does this form look? And he kills it. He texts me after they play University of Tennessee, which was the number 2 team in the country. And he goes 4.15 with 10 exclamation marks. He was so excited about it. I said, let's go. That's it. That was his $1 million right there. He got the 4.15. So he has this macro goal of being a top 10 pick. Incredible goal. Massive goal. But what does it take on the micro level in order to achieve what you set out to do? It takes a lot of little moments, a lot of little stacking. And I'm so proud of both these guys. They're going to go do great things. They're still in the first part of their season, but I anticipate high levels of success for the both of them. So for today, begin with the end in mind and create your micro goals in order to achieve that end overarching vision.
On the next episode of the Costello Coaching Podcast with Tommy Costello.
Mike McLean is owner of Gym Supplement Science, was a big-time fitness trainer, evolved into owner of a massive supplement brand, is a leader and a positive impact culture builder. The list goes on. For that hardworking person that is putting in the work, but they're just getting by.
Right.
What do you tell that person?
Usually there's a inherent trait, which is most people can easily identify the problem. Very few people can figure out a solution. And so for that person who is a 9-to-5er, there's opportunities around you everywhere, whatever issue you're having. If it's health, I'm overweight, there's time. There's 24 hours in a day. Let's say you need 8 hours sleep. Let's say you get 8 hours of work. What are you doing with the other 8 hours? Are you giving an hour to your health? Fine. It's 7 hours to figure out something else, to spend time not identifying the problem. You know the fucking problem. Get used to being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Being uncomfortable is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because it allows you to adapt to the situation to overcome it. You're going to get results if it feels good? Hell no. Get used to being uncomfortable.
Thanks for listening to the Costello Coaching Podcast with Tommy Costello. Please follow, subscribe, and if you can, review any and all episodes wherever you listen to podcasts.